The first industrial revolution emerged in Britain in the 19th century. It would set the building blocks of the capitalist system we live in today and make the transition from the feudal system which preceded. Extensive research and development, R&D, lead to the discovery and exploitation of new elements and materials. Those resources were used to create machines and mechanisms which gradually caught the attention of the capitalists at the time. The latter invested in equipment powered by new sources of energy, such as steam and coal, to change the nature of work back then and revolutionize large industries such as agriculture, textile, and metallurgy. Humans were limited by their physical abilities when performing certain tasks. Mechanization aimed to bring an impactful solution to overcome existing physical limitations. The ability to master nature was a giant footstep in forging future societies and expanding existing industries not only in Britain, but around the world as well. Other countries gradually joined the Industrial Revolution also to develop their economies. The impact went far beyond economical boundaries only, as the first Industrial Revolution reconfigured social structures as well. Exponential urbanization has been a direct result of industrialization. The gap between the poor proletariats and the rich capitalists were getting larger, and an antagonism was slowly building up, opposing two classes of a society. Early applications of science and technology to industries resulted in consequential labor displacements, as mechanical machines were more effective than manpower in accomplishing certain tasks. Many new jobs were also created to run the operations and processes involved, and gave rise slowly to task specialization. Transportation was another sector which developed rapidly during the first Industrial Revolution. Locomotives and wagons, among other means of transportation, would connect many parts of a region to facilitate and increase the exchange of goods and services, as well as manpower. Increased and diverse social interactions would increase and facilitate knowledge exchange, leading to further development. Politics has always been an instrument used by the rich capitalists to remove every obstruction from their way and ensure that they would control the masses and accumulate continuous wealth from the fruit of the proletarians' labor. Laws were enacted to ensure social order, and further bodies were set in place by those in control to ensure compliance. Taxation systems were formed to oil the cogs of emerging and expanding social systems and remunerate those who would contribute to maintain the early capitalist pyramid, separating bourgeoisie and proletariat. Two major events shaped the Second Industrial Revolution during the 19th and early 20th centuries were the application of electric power to industrial productions and influences of World War I, 1914 to 1918, which caused strategic and geopolitical alliances over the globe. Electric power facilitated mass productions of several goods, namely early models of cars, as well as military weapons and vehicles, to respond to the ongoing wars. The main technological progress which dynamized the first industrial revolution was the engineering behind the use of mechanical power in steam engines. The second industrial revolution was catalyzed by the immense advances in chemical sciences, which permitted the diverse utilizations of elements such as petroleum and rubber. The exploitation of heavy oils facilitated the generation of electric power to augment more powerful machineries. Early manipulation of plastic was also to be noted. The second industrial revolution overcame muscle power like never seen before, and even allowed automatic operations, thus omitting again the necessity of human presence in certain aspects of work. Early forms of automation processes were observed, and the advent of the assembly lines of production made optimum use of task specialization. Nonetheless, routine and repetitive tasks undertaken in factories caused side effects such as alienation at work. Quantity mattered more than quality at that time in all business aspects. As new challenges arise due to mass production, to keep control, the rich capitalists had to delegate power, ownership, and authority to some proletariats. The frequent widespread delegations slowly gave rise to a new social class known as the middle class. The capitalist system was deeply rooted in various economic frameworks around the world and seemed to be an unstoppable force for the upcoming centuries, which will make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Due to World War I, a slow feminization of workforces in those economically expanding countries was imminent, as most working men were converted into soldiers and many others were injured or killed. The very nature of employment started to change, and conditions of work started to improve for both men and women, supported by many labor movements. Child labor was a reality during eras of mass production, and education was not available to everyone. Massive pollution and environmental damages were a dark side of the Second Industrial Revolution, added to uncontrollable urbanization, making the sanitary conditions in early European cities unbearable. The social pyramid was becoming increasingly vast and complex. People were becoming more aware of their situations and asked for better conditions of work and living. Many states around the world embodied democracy and liberalism, which changed the nature of politics and promoted further individual rights and freedoms, catalyzed by many socio-cultural movements following World War II, 1939-1945. Where the first and second industrial revolutions aimed to overcome the physical limitations of humans, the third industrial revolution overcame the intellectual and even communication limitations of humans. Electric power gave birth to early prototypes of computers, which kept being upgraded and eventually led to electronic operations and decision-making processes by machines. Major leaps in communication were achieved with the advancements and democratization of phones. 1975 to 1990 were years where personal computers reached audiences around the world and would change and even modify social interactions like never seen before. The establishment of the Internet around 1980 would fuel this interconnection. 1989 is said to be a pivotal year in the history of globalization as we know today. The third industrial revolution was a phase where people started to place technology at the center of their lives, as there was a certain conviction that it would facilitate their lives. Businesses around the world capitalized on these behaviors and perceptions and invested further in R&D to democratize electronic appliances such as mobile phones, home appliances, and personal computers. Marketing management slowly joined the business world to boost sales and differentiate brands. Automation software made their debut in many businesses, not only behind the scenes during traditional production processes, but also in service sectors, namely in banks where ATMs were implemented and supermarkets where barcode scanners assisted the cashiers. The fear of massive labor displacements was increasingly being felt in many sectors. The first and second industrial revolutions displaced mainly blue-collar jobs, but the third industrial revolution had higher chances to replace white-collar workers, as many electronic devices and software perform better in certain calculations, processes, and analysis, which in a sense overpowered the intellectual limitations of humans. So far, after every industrial revolution, the technologies which emerged indeed replaced some aspects of certain jobs, but created new ones as well, if not more. Where the second industrial revolution created a new middle class, occupying white-collar, bureaucratic positions mostly, that class stuck between the rich capitalists and politicians, and the poor, manual workers mostly, saw itself further divided again, mainly due to three main reasons: education, globalization, and the nature of employment. Better access to education and ways to acquire formal knowledge formed more qualified and informed people, which could be considerable assets for employers around the world in various expanding sectors. Globalization causes a paradox as it connects and even liberates nations, but at the same time increases competition as well as expectations at an exponential scale. To respond to the new rising global challenges, industries around the world had to merge all assets, human and technological, to stay competitive and respond to the new nature of employment, being increasingly diverse and flexible. The first and second industrial revolutions targeted physical spaces, And the third industrial revolution expanded human activity to cyberspaces. The fourth ongoing industrial revolution aims to bring a fusion between physical space and cyberspace in various industries, if not all. The physical limitations of mankind have long been complemented by the use of machines and new energy sources discovered in the first and second industrial revolutions. Our abilities to communicate and analyze have been enhanced with new technologies invented during the third industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is also known as the era of predictions, as major improvement in the new wave technologies enable not only analyses but accurate predictions as well. Artificial intelligence is slowly overcoming the cognitive limitations of man. Machine learning and deep learning are bringing not only improvements but disruptions as well in many industries. In previous industries, there was a strong connection between a specific technology and a specific market. Now, technologies and markets are combining very rapidly in unexpected ways. The Internet of Things, IoT, is an example of just how not only inclusive, but even invasive modern technologies can be. Data are constantly collected by those technologies to not only connect the world, but control it as well, putting privacy at risks in many cases. Are we really using tools such as Google to search for new knowledge? Or are these tools using us to accumulate more information? Companies are in a race to obtain big data analytics and extract vital information on the lifestyle of their target audience to improve their marketing strategies. World superpowers such as America and China are becoming like the Saudi Arabia of an ongoing tech war instead of oil wars, where data is the equivalent of petroleum. Routine manual jobs were primarily affected during the first and second industrial revolutions. Major displacements were then observed in routine cognitive jobs with the technologies that emerged during the third industrial revolution. The rate at which the fourth industrial revolution is evolving will most likely overtake many non-routine manual and cognitive jobs by 2050. This displacement will again divide and split the social classes even more, causing a bit of unrest as people will struggle to define where they fit, or if they will become obsolete in societies ruled by cyber-physical systems of production, CPPs. Dematerialization is a major feature of the fourth industrial revolution, as it involves doing more with less by reducing the need for huge spaces to work and promoting remote working. Social bonds and interactions are changing rapidly and influenced daily by what we see and hear across these cyber-physical spaces. Industry 5.0 goes beyond pure automation by placing humans back at the center of technological development, emphasizing collaboration between humans and intelligent machines, rather than replacement of workers by technology. While Industry 4.0 mainly asks how machines can perform tasks faster and more efficiently than humans, Industry 5.0 asks how technology can improve human creativity, well-being, safety, sustainability, and quality of life. Industry 5.0 therefore integrates the same advanced technologies used in Industry 4.0, but applies them with a stronger focus on ethics, environmental responsibility, personalized production, worker empowerment, and social value, promoting a future where technological progress serves both economic performance and human needs simultaneously.